Titan wiped out the ancient race, and only Nemos survived. Void children started fleeing from Titan, fearing his might. One of them was the future king of the Legion. This guy has successfully fled to the human world. With time he gained the respect of others, trust, and was able to build a kingdom. He was chosen as a king. Everything was going very well in his kingdom. He fell in love with a local woman and had 2 daughters, Moira and Yolanda. Once, a famous warrior and a widely known hero, Shadow, came to his kingdom with just as famous May, who also was known among the nations for her strength, vast knowledge of weapons, and her role in the history of the world. The king actually started to follow Shadow's beliefs. Together they built a very powerful nation that was no longer just several minor towns with little influence to the world. This nation was gradually transforming into the faction that is now known as the Legion. If you watched the end of Shadow Fight 2, you probably remember this part. It's very important. As shadow energy started spreading around the kingdom, and people who were infected by it became a shadow beast who doesn't have their identity any longer. The king of the Legion decided to form 2 special groups of military force, liquidators and abdicators. They specialized in dealing with infected people, utilizing the power of light. This power is the energy of light that is used by abdicators. You also probably have seen its usage by Liberator of the Mortals. On the night of the Scourge, numerous shadow beasts attacked the Legion's fortress. These beasts butchered many residents of the fortress. If you don't know about the Night of the Scourge, you can watch a short video that I made. That describes everything that happened that night. After Shadow arrived to the King of the Legion, they started defending the Legion alongside with abdicators and liquidators. The ravage was stopped, but many civilians perished and a lot of people got infected by Scourge. The Scourge was still spreading actively, so the King of the Legion did a very honorable act of sacrificing himself, so he could absorb all the remaining powers of the Scourge. Before his soul was completely crushed by the power of shadow energy, he put a curse on his own daughter, Moira, so that she wouldn't die from the Scourge. Moira was already affected by Scourge, and would probably turn into a shadow beast. Wasn't there a curse of the king? Moira was cursed to remain a child forever, she never aged. The king asked Shadow to take away her from the Legion so she wouldn't harm others, and he asked him to take care of her. Shadow was the only one who could deal with the evil power hidden within her. The King of the Legion sat on his throne, watched the sky, the sunlight, and the beautiful kingdom he had built. Remembered the times he escaped his original home because of Titan and closed his eyes forever. Without the King of the Legion, the Immortals got significant power in politics and made a lot of bad decisions. The people of the Legion started losing faith in the light and the hope they had. The era of the downfall of the Legion began. Moira was taken to the stranded island, where Shadow asked local people to take care of Moira. However, they would use Moira's powers instead. But hey, this video isn't about what happened after the Night of the Scourge, it's about the King of the Legion. And his story doesn't end here. Everything that I said about the King of the Legion takes place in the original timeline, the very first one. In Marcus's plane, where a different timeline takes place, Shadow sacrifices his life instead of the King of the Legion in order to save the king and his daughter. It's worth noting that so-called unknown master was controlling the events that took place in that timeline. This master promised immortality and strength to both the king and his daughter, in exchange for the king to become the master's servant. You may ask a question, how could a king serve someone else? Well, we're talking about not just some random master, but the famous stranger. And if you heard about the story of Shadow Fight 3, you know how powerful is this guy. The king was hoping to bring peace to his kingdom, and protect it from dangers. However, what he didn't realize is that he unknowingly cursed the Legion to suffer even more from the Scourge. Sarge is furious, wondering who this master could be. The king told that it's some mysterious person who wants to find his way to home by opening the gates of shadows from all the planes. Whether it's true or not, or what this master was doing, will be covered in an upcoming video, so you should definitely subscribe not to miss that video, and also leave a like, so I can be sure you're interested. Donating will also speed up making interesting lore videos, but if you can't afford to do that, yet still wish to support, you can check out the games I develop on my other channel. So what happened after the king told about the master? Shadow beasts started coming, the dead rose from their graves, the Scourge was at its peak. The King of the Legion asked his subordinates not to approach him, as the master will use the king to take lives of innocent people. The king asked the legendary general of the Legion, who actually is Shadow's descendant undercover, to defeat the king himself, so that the king will be free from the influence of this master. The king is defeated by the descendant and he asks the general to take care of his daughter. Afterwards we say a sad goodbye to the king who finally was freed and obtained peace. At the final timeline of the main story, we still can see the king of the Legion. It's already almost at the end of Shadow Fight 3. Yolanda, another daughter of the king of the Legion, tells that Marcus knows nothing about the king, just like many others who followed him. She also tells Marcus is a fool, since he thinks Yolanda is a monster. She tells him to go to the grave of the King of the Legion near the crypt and read out loud the oath to find out the bitter truth about the King of the Legion. What is the crypt, you may ask? It used to be a memorial place to the death of May, but at the epilogue, May is alive and never died in the first place, but it's still a holy place. That has a lot of power hidden within it. Marcus did everything, and the king actually appeared from the dead. He orders to die and rise again in order to serve the Shadow Master. They fight. And after Marcus is victorious, he actually finds out the bitter truth, that King is an outsider and never was a human. He starts yelling out of shock and disappointment. But Nemos explains to him what I had told you at the beginning of the video. He also tells how much King loved the Legion and the people who lived there, and did everything he could until Stranger took control over him. King of the Legion is perhaps one of the few, if not the only character, whose voice can be heard while fighting him. He also has an entrance and victorious pose in the battlefield, that's unique to him. No other character enters the fight whilst sitting on their horse. King of the Legion is the only character to change his appearance during the battle. He takes his mask off. His sword is periodically charged with shadow energy, and at the end even his armor is partly covered with shadow energy as well. He's also one of the few characters who can use shadow abilities without entering a shadow form. The ability to summon the dead, immortality were given to him by Master. He can attack with a dash similar to Stranger and Kibo. He also can launch shadow waves. King of the Legion is fought without a time limit in a single round, however, as he's immortal and can resurrect 3 times to continue the battle. Each time he becomes stronger and starts to utilize new abilities. Each resurrection, he makes a shadow explosion, which is quite dangerous. The player has to fight him with his initial health all 3 times the king revives himself. Low durability of the player can make it difficult to fight him, unless the player can heal or can also resurrect, for example with the Liberator set. High damage can also compensate low durability, for example with the Stranger set. Another solution is to use a highly spamming set that doesn't allow the king to utilize his moves, such as Divine Judge or Void Anabot. Also, don't just stay still and wait for his attack, especially when he's at the final stage of reviving himself. He can easily break your block with his numerous shadow abilities. And be very careful when he gains shadow energy to revive himself. Stay as far from him as possible, since at the moment he heals himself 100%, being close to him guarantees losing a lot of health, if not losing the battle instantly. King of the Legion was requested many times. You also can suggest your video idea in the comments. Share your opinion in the comments, and thanks for watching.